Since the Revolutionary War, women have served their country, often in roles behind the scenes like nurses, seamstresses, and even disguised as men to fight on the front lines. But it wasn't until 1948, when President Harry Truman signed the Women's Armed Services Integration Act, that women were officially allowed to serve as regular members of the U.S. military. The journey of women in the military has been one of resilience and determination. In 1917, Loretta Walsh made history as the first woman to officially enlist in the Naval Reserve, and by 1948, the Air Force became the first branch to formally accept women. These trailblazers paved the way for countless women who would follow, pushing boundaries and challenging stereotypes in their pursuit of service. From the front lines of the Civil War to leadership positions in today's military, women have proven time and again that they are just as capable, committed, and courageous as their male counterparts. Yet their journey has not been without obstacles. Even today, women face challenges in rising through the ranks, achieving recognition, and gaining the same opportunities as their male peers. In this documentary, we hear from women who have served our nation with distinction. Through their words, we uncover the unique challenges they faced, the unforgettable experiences that shaped them, and the legacy they hope to leave behind for future generations of women in uniform.
My name is Rosemary Miller. I was in the United States Navy, and I served from 1989 to 1998.
Colonel Margaret Miller. I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in 1985, and I went to boot camp at Parris Island, South Carolina, back in, again, 1985, and I served in the Marine Corps for 36 years, in the reserve and active duty, both.
My name is Kelly Patrick. I was a member of the United States Navy. I'm a veteran. I did 21 years from 1992 until 2013.
My name is Hazel Marie Hudson. My branch of service is the U.S. Navy, and I retired with 24 years in.
My name is Corliss Long. I was in the Air Force and I served for 13 years.
Dominique Conte. My branch of service was United States Marine Corps, and I did one tour, which is 4 years.
I was at West Georgia College at the time, now University of West Georgia, in 1984. I worked at the Maple Street Mansion, which is a really nice place. I was a classical voice major, a lot of work, and then I was working at nights. And I met a recruiter who came into the mansion, very squared away, very professional guy. And I really liked what he had to say. I guess I wasn't really satisfied at school at that time. It was me. I was just immature, and I felt like I just needed to get out of town. I was born and raised in Carrollton, so my whole life. And it gave me an opportunity to travel and to become more disciplined and just learn about myself and the world.
I'm a product of civil rights. I was born in 1955, and my father told me that if there's a problem, you can't solve it from the outside. You've got to get in it to make changes. And when I went to college, I wanted to fly airplanes. That was one thing. And so that's what got me into the Air Force. But I also saw that there were no female pilots. And there were very few black pilots at the time. And the only way to make change is to get inside. So I joined ROTC to get inside, to make some changes.
There was a recruiter that had came through Hilton Head, and I tried to have been recruited in high school because of my ASVAB scores, and that's a test that we all take in high school, and I didn't want to do it. So there was an actual Marine recruiter that came through Hilton Head where I was working and happened to talk to me about, have you ever thought about going back into the going into the military? Have you ever, thought about it? I said, well, not the Marines, but the Navy. So we had a Navy recruiter contact me, and I got a copy of my birth certificate and signed the paperwork, and the rest is history.
So to me, the most challenging, I bet most people will tell you that who have been in the military, is just being away from your family and loved ones. So you kind of miss a lot of the milestones like graduation, weddings, and holidays. Then you become, your military family become your family. So you do those things with them. It might be different. Like, one time my buddy and I were opening presents in the bathroom because people had to be asleep because they had to be on watch, or for whatever reason they were sleeping, so we couldn't have a loud celebration, so we had to go to the bathroom and open our presents. So you kind of adapt in that way.
Well, obviously it goes without saying, the first challenge is the physical and mental challenge of being a Marine. We have definitely a reputation of being the best of the best, the few and the proud, as they say. And that goes without being said, and not wanting to disappoint my family. Like I said, I come from a military family, a high-ranking military family. So I did not want to be the first of my family not to succeed and graduate from boot camp, and leaving Paris Island, which is where we go and train. That's the main place that we go, Paris Island, South Carolina, to do our training to become a Marine. So I would say just the whole ambiance, the experience itself, stepping onto the yellow footprints, and if anybody was a Marine, they know what I'm talking about. That's all you're going to get from me on that. That is when reality hits, like, oh, this is not a game. This is serious. So, yeah.
Like I said, I was born in 1955. So when I went in, there were very few black officers, very few female, especially officers. So the challenges, I was a young black female officer. I was a non-Catholic in a Catholic world, and I was a non-pilot in the Air Force. And I wasn't ugly, and that was a problem. And I was very independent and headstrong, so that too was a problem. So those were my challenges. So when I walked out in the morning, I knew that one of those issues I would be discriminated against before I got back home. The only place in the world where I was not discriminated against was in my living room, in my house.
Yeah, I do feel like most women try very, very hard to compete in a male-dominated world. And I always said, I'm a proud card-carrying member of this boys' club. And really it is a boys' club, but I'm proud to be a member of the boys' club forever, because Marines, once a Marine, always a Marine.
No, not really. We all work together pretty good. We learn from each other. I was like a secretary, I was a yeoman, and it was pretty much mostly females, but there were a lot of men that were yeomen. But we all worked together, so I really didn't feel like we was in competition with each other or anything.
I would not say better, but I had to be equivalent and prove that I deserved to be there and I could do what is required to hold that title and basically honor the Eagle Globe and Anchor that we wear on our uniform.
So I had no ROTC, whatever, before going in the Navy. So I came in as an E1 and I ended up leaving as an E5.
I attained the rank of colonel in 2016 and retired in 2021.
I was a captain, 03. Mm-hmm. So the Navy people would be confused, but I was an 03.
There were many memorable moments, but I think as far as military, when we were on the ship and the captain announced on the intercom that the war was over. So it was during Desert Storm. And also when I spent my 22nd birthday, and I was on watch and everybody else were on watch. So everybody just kind of assigned this maneuvering board, which is like a navigation tool. So, and just made a card out of it. So it's kind of like, you know, you celebrate with what you can, how you can. So that, I thought that was sweet. And then once we got to France, I got to go to France a few days later. So that was memorable to me.
I begged to go to a combat zone. I went by myself. I deployed by myself. It's called an individual augmentee, IA. And I went to Qatar, got my battle rattle, you know, your Kevlar and everything, and your protective vest, ballistic vest, and went to Baghdad, Iraq. And the position I was filling was as an 03, a lieutenant, and I was only an 02, a lieutenant junior grade, JG. But my commanding officer, because the Navy Supply Corps School used to be in Athens, Georgia, and they moved it to Newport, Rhode Island. But my commanding officer went to bat for me and told the people that were looking for a DFI dispersing officer, Kelly can do the job. She's prior enlisted, she can do the job. And they sent me. So I was an 02 filling an 03 billet in charge of millions and millions of dollars.
I always think about, there's two things. First of all, making chief. That was right after my boys was born, so I made chief then, so it was really needed. And then there was, well, three things. I like to travel. We did a lot of traveling, but in Italy, there was, we went to an olive grove where the nuns would pick the olives and turn it into olive oil. And that's like, the weather was just perfect. We had a picnic outside with the group, and it was just serene. You could just look out. The view was beautiful. So that's one of the things that come to my mind immediately.
So in general, I'm not a very loud person, and I'm small, but I learned how to be a leader that's specific to my personality. So in the military, they're good about, if you work hard and you do your best, there are people, look to the helpers. There are going to be helpers that's going to mentor you. And if you do your best, you try to be professional, you respect people and respect others, they will promote you. But with promotion comes a lot of responsibility. So you have to be willing to learn and take on those responsibilities. So I think that's, you know, and being an ambassador, because everywhere you go, you're representing the Navy and your country.
Oh yeah. I always thought if I didn't go into the military, if I stayed here in Villa Rica, where I was born and raised, I probably would have been working in a warehouse or somewhere like that. Probably would have gotten married, had a bunch of children. But joining the military, being able to travel, I met a lot of people, made a lot of friends, been to different countries, learned a different culture, learned to respect the culture, and it just helped me have like an open mind.
It gave me more discipline and made me self-confident and believe in myself more.
I was on a submarine tender only one time, and it was, when we deployed, it was like going on a cruise almost. We went to the Bahamas, we went to, it was one other place. We wanted to go to Puerto Rico, but we never made it to Puerto Rico. So we didn't do any classified deployment or anything like that. We just went out, made sure the ship worked out pretty good.
I was in the Air Force. They deploy pilots. We don't go too many places. I was in Germany when they blew up the Marine barracks in, I think it was Berlin, but that's as close as I came to any deployment. I was a counselor. At the time I was doing equal opportunity human relations. and anybody that had any training in counseling was pulled in to deal with the people who were dealing with the body parts, because when they blew up the barracks, they sent the body parts back to where the base where I was at Rhine Mine. And so anybody that volunteered to go in there, sort out the body parts and deal with that would come out messed up. And so we were the ones sitting down, talking them back down. So I guess that's as close as I came to being deployed.
I was stationed, and my first duty station was Okinawa, Japan. It was a great experience. I really loved it. I grew up overseas, being Army brat in Germany, Wiesbaden, Germany. So I'd never been to Japan, so that was super cool to be, do something different. That was my only out of overseas experience.
Okay, so some of these medals and ribbons, with the deployment, I have a list here, but so these are the things that I got, for being deployed, and good conduct, and all of these right here. But the one commendation letter that I got from this service force 6th Fleet commander was just it was humbling to recognize that everyday people do things what they're supposed to do, and sometimes they go beyond, so they don't always get recognized for that. So it was nice that this 6th Fleet commander recognized that all the work, the extra time that I put in to make sure this ship is safe.
Yes, so there are different types of awards. There are personal awards based upon your actions on duty, and then there are organizational awards which your unit may have received due to where you deployed, if you went overseas or not, things like that, if your unit did some meritorious stuff. So there are a variety of awards. The 3 personal awards that I've received are the Meritorious Service Award. Actually there's supposed to be one more star on that, so I have 3 of those, and that's my highest award. It's a pretty decent award for performance.
I will say a huge accomplishment that I had several according to other people. I broke the glass ceiling on a couple of things, especially as a female. But when I went to Naval Special Warfare Development Group, which is also known as SEAL Team 6, I was the second in a phase of contracting officers. This was new to the Supply Corps. I was a Supply Corps officer in the Navy. And the Supply Corps officer, they were very strict about your course as an officer. As an O1, you go to sea duty. As an O2, you might return back to sea duty, but you could do shore duty. As an O3, you had to go back. They called it operational tours, being at sea. That you had to have, before you made O4, Lieutenant Commander in the Navy, you had to have 2 operational tours up underneath your belt. Well, I decided to go against the grain and go to SEAL Team 6 as my second operational tour instead of going back to sea. And I had a lot of high-ranking Supply Corps officers telling me, Kelly, you're never going to make O4 because that's not considered an operational tour. Well, what we did was we took the Chief of Supply Corps, brought him into SEAL Team 6, got him read into exactly what we were doing operationally, and then he cleared the slate and said, this is counted as an operational tour now. So I did 2 operational tours with SEAL Team 6. So yes, that was a huge thing for me. I was the first female department head inside of another entity inside of SEAL Team 6 that I can't talk about. But it was just me as a female department head, and it was all like Tridents. It was all Navy SEAL department heads, all officers. No, we were together. Not under me. We were together, and we were reporting to a commanding officer of a very elite part of SEAL Team 6, inside of SEAL Team 6. So I was one of the first female department heads for that. So that was, I don't think there's been a female department head back since then. So that was huge.
So my advice to the females is that just make sure you know what your priorities are and be willing to sacrifice, know what you're willing to sacrifice, because you know, there are many things in the military that you can plug into. It doesn't have to be the combat zone. There's very few women that would choose to do that. But the military has many opportunities, and you don't have to go full-time. You can do reserves, you know, so there's just many opportunities. But make sure that your priorities are where they need to be, and you have the right support system.
So my thought is, whether it be the military or another organization that can challenge you, go for it. I think being a Marine is amazing. It's pretty demanding, so you need to, if you're a female and you're considering the branches of the military, look deeply at kind of what your personal abilities are and, you know, build from there. I would highly encourage you to do anything that's going to challenge you mentally and physically, and also be a part of something bigger than yourself. You'll find that that gives you a great deal of joy and freedom in your life, and to be part of a camaraderie of like-minded people is really a gift. So I do highly encourage it. If not the military, find it somewhere.
I was just talking to a coworker. Her niece is considered joining the Air Force, and she asked me basically the same question. And I told her that I feel like if you're not ready for college, and if you're not ready to go into any particular job or anything, if you don't have the skill or the qualification, then try the military for a couple of years. It's challenging, you get to travel, and then you can decide if you want to take college classes while you're in the military, which is something that I did.
It's hard work, but everything in life is hard. If everything in life was easy, then, you know, you're gonna have your challenges. Always have an open mind. Always have an open mind.
I would let her know that the Air Force is the actual way to go. If you are one who's a thinking individual and want to decide on actually doing stuff, if you want to go and see the world, it's an easy way to do it.
If you want to join the military as a woman, I definitely encourage it. I would say if you're joining the military itself, be assured and reassured on where you want to go, what branch you want to actually serve in, because we are all different. And understanding and being honest with yourself, your capabilities, and what you are willing to endure and take on and not.